this is the last video. I'm done. As you can see, it's built. But I did want to take the time to go over what I would do differently now that I've gone through it once. And just, you know, a disclaimer, I'm not an engineer, I'm not a professional kiln manufacturer. This is a homegrown unit. There are definitely things I don't like about it. There are things I would do differently. And I'm sure there's many of you who would also find the same, so I'm okay for constructive criticism. But I do have a list of things that I would do differently. The first one is I would make this shorter. In the equation that I gave the artificial intelligence engine, I told it I wanted to be 1.5 feet tall. It is definitely taller than I would have liked it to be. I think I could have gotten away with maybe 1 foot instead of 1.5 feet. I did make it extremely wide, wider than I needed, but I like that. I think with the heat of the kiln, things are going to start rising. I did want to capture as much as that I can, so I'm not unhappy with the width. I'm mostly unhappy with the height. I definitely would have rechecked my calculations, and I made the simplest mistake early on, which, as you remember in the video, made me have to cut some additional pieces and put them on the side, so I ended up with a lot more seams and a bigger puzzle than I wanted. And it was a pure mathematic on my part miscalculation, where in my head I took 5 feet times 12 inches and somehow thought that was 72 and 60 instead of 60. So that was my bad. But you know, live and learn. I don't know exactly how this works exactly. I have not fired it to any you know, high temperature. I haven't fired it at all. I'm assuming it's going to work. In hindsight, I maybe would have thought about buying the next size up blower. And this thing pumps out, you know, I think it's 1,000 cubic feet per minute. It should be very powerful. I think with a couple of windows open up here to make sure that the air is flowing, I'm thinking it should be good. But the extra blower power may come in handy, and it's only a couple of inches more in diameter, and certainly we could have made those adjustments. As far as the skeleton, once I built the cone, it was a lot more flexible or floppy or less sturdy than I thought it would be. So then I had the idea of, how can I make it sturdy? I need to build a skeleton. And we did that. And we did it, I think, in an ingenious way by using some pretty inexpensive tomato cages. But really what I thought of sort of toward the end of that whole process is there might be a way to do this without buying anything additional. So if you can remember this annulus and the way it's folded to create our eventual cone, what we could have done is put some folds in the cone itself to have it be more supportive of it on its own. So once the cone is put together, I think in my head what I would have done is I would have marked the 4 sides, you know, every 90 degrees. I would have added a few extra inches to my radial measurement to allow for this. And what I would have done is I would have just made a little fold here. And then I would have unfolded it so that I ended up with a very slight ridge type fold. I don't know if you can see that in my sheet metal. And as an example here, you can see I have a piece of sheet metal here. Imagine this is somewhere toward the end of my arc, and it's pretty bendable, especially the longer you get. So I imagined what I could have done is something that looks like this. That's the one side. There's the other. Of course, if you now complete these bends, do without getting my fingers cut off. Now we have something that has a little ridge going down the side, and that's not bendable. So I think that would have been a hell of a lot faster, a lot cheaper, because remember I had to buy that copper pipe in my head for a fireproof connector of those wires. Although at the time I found a solution, I wouldn't say it was genius, I would say a decent little solution. But this is a hell of a lot better. Now I don't know if this will work. In my head, in the way I'm thinking about it, I would have tried it. And if it didn't work, well then no harm, no foul. I would have just still built my skeleton underneath this, and it would have been probably a better solution. I will, before it's all said and done, remove all of this roping. I'm going to take the rope that's holding up the duct, I'm going to replace it with probably some wire, which is less obvious. And I'm a little leery over my wires that are used for the pulley system. I'd like to replace that with some wire, just so that it won't wear out, and just to give me a little peace of mind. So I think that's all I had as far as what I would do differently. It certainly was fun. My hands are still a little rough. Like I said, I did cut myself a few times, but not nearly as much as I can imagine it could have been done. But anyway, if you have any advice for me, any comments, please let me know. Also, this is the very first video series I've created to post to YouTube, so I'm not a professional photographer. Is this going to look good? It'll be sufficient, I think, to convey the message of you can build one of these if you want to. Save yourself from paying $850 to $1,200 or how much those are. I think at the end of the day, and I will update the price list to include all the materials that I ended up using, and I think it's going to be south of $250. So if it doesn't work, I'm out $250, and I'll just put up with the smell, because I'm not spending $1,000 on a kiln ventilation. So anyway, thank you for watching. If you have any questions, let me know.